done some coaching previously in Bowden for the under-18s over there, and I've done the coaching throughout my sort of my lifetime really in most sports, and obviously rugby is a bit of a passion of mine, and being Welsh, I guess Rob understands how much I value the game, and I've worked with him now for 4.5 years, 5 years altogether as an undergrad, and then 15, 16 months as a master's after taking a couple of years out. So he knows how I think and why I feel the game should be like, and we're quite synonymous in that way. So it seemed like quite an easy conversation to have that he wanted me to come down. Obviously, it was a bit difficult knowing the lads and playing with the lads, and I already had a few beers with the lads, which obviously is something to overcome, I guess, and manage as the season goes on. But yeah, like I'm busy all the time, so it's quite a tough decision to make. But I think passing an opportunity like this is a bit silly, really. It's once in a lifetime sort of thing, especially at sort of my level of experience and my age as well, to have a university side that's 2 leagues below Bucks. Being able to decide how we play from a set piece perspective. So I couldn't really turn it down, and it's I'm a very proud Welshman, so it's quite a proud moment for me to be able to say I'm coaching the first team at the university level, and I'll do what I want. I was in university 2015 to 2018 doing physio, and obviously I played that time. We had relegation my first year, and then promotion, I think, or promotion, and then missed out on promotion the third year, something like that. So I've been through it all with uni. And I remember back in lockdown, I was deciding whether to do a master's or not. I think 2021 January I started my master's, but my first phone call when I was deciding what to do was to Rob and said, "Oh, can I play again?" And he was like, "Well, yeah, obviously." We ended on good terms. I mean, I did a bit of vice captain, vice chairman at the time as well, and having taken a couple of years out of rugby and played semi-pro, I wanted to be back with the boys again, because it's a different vibe in university. It's not so much from the drink. It's like I was working full time, I couldn't go out all the time, but the different feeling, you enjoy it more, So that was my first call to Rob, being like, "Oh, can I come down and just play and whatever?" And obviously he knows what I'm like, so I'm a bit of a tryhard, and just too passionate about rugby. Like I love, the boys used to comment on my posts all the time, being like #love rugby, because that's all I talk about and all I do. So yeah, I did 15 months at masters and tore my ACL, so that's where I'm at. Yeah, so we had some Sharks players. We had Matt Postlethwaite and Curtis Langdon when I was doing the masters anyway. Before that, I'm not too sure, but obviously they coached, I guess, as the Sharks would. I play Sale FC, so there's a bit of crossover there, but I think Rob knows I'm quite autonomous in how I think, and of course, Sale and the Sharks are very good teams. They have a good platform and baseline of what to do, but I think the idea of bringing me in was to be a bit different to the Sharks lads, and not just coach like they would, or not have the same ideas, kind of bring a new, younger feel to it without having that sort of political business side to it that the Sharks might have. They were great. I mean, we had Curtis the first half, and I think his commitments changed during the season with his rugby career. But he was great, really, sort of pinpoint on scrummaging and lineouts, and he helped the boys out and gave us some good tips. And I was learning stuff as well, which is always important. Wherever I go, I want to learn something. So it's good that the university had access to those kind of coaches. And obviously had Matt Poss come in then, who had a different spin on things, was a lot angrier than Curtis and a lot more aggressive in the way he coached, and really took our game to another level, I think, as players. And we stopped battling each other in training, and it showed second half of the season last year that way of coaching was pretty good for us, and there was no hiding, there was no pulling out because you got an injury or whatever. It was get stuck in sort of thing. So there's 2 different, contrasting type of coaches, but both brought in their own spin, and actually I've taken a lot from that, and I'll probably coach a lot how they coached. There's not much difference really. When you're in a scrum, you push. When you're in a maul, you fucking push. It's not rocket science, is it? But the little nuances they give you, it just makes you feel like you're in a professional environment already. So that's the aim now, is to see if I can give the new lads that little bit extra, because obviously I've had those guys before. So the pressure's on for me, really trying to emulate what they did or even improve what they did. So it's quite interesting. Myself, Rob, and Higgy have met up a couple of times, and me and Higgy had a couple of meetings together separately just to discuss how we want to play the game. And I've coached for a while for the last 4 years, but under 18s level, so 16 to 18-year-olds at Colts. So it's a bit different. It's a bit more professional now. But even when I play, I just talk a lot. I just chat a lot of rubbish or give my 2 pence thought on anything. So I think I'll just be I'm quite a talkative guy. So I'll just always be talking, always giving information. And we've come up with a game plan. It's slightly changed from what we've done previously, but we feel it's more of a university kind of rugby. It's more enjoyable. I've stripped back the lineouts to make it even simpler than it was already. Some set piece moves, but on my Instagram all the time, you see different moves from different clubs, and I'm screenshotting it, I'm looking at them and analysing it. And when you start watching other teams, and when I watch rugby now on TV, I'm not looking at the game. I'm watching my part of how I can coach differently now, because I can't play for a year. Is how can I take that coach note in and see what difference they're doing. So I don't know if I'm going to be aggressive. I don't know if I'm going to be quite calm. I think we'll see when the season starts. But I definitely have a game plan in mind that I want to execute. But knowing me, the way I was brought up in the valleys was, if you don't put your water bottle back in the water bottle case, you're doing sprints, it's disciplined, and I'll probably lose my head a few times. But it's all in good spirit. Is after the training's done, it's like after the whistle's gone, that's done now, we move on. Not shouting at the lads, but just wanting more, trying to drive standards as much as I can, because that's how I play, that's how I train. So I'm going to try and basically put that into a coaching side, but definitely a lot of learning I have to take, maybe watching some other coaches and how they express some anger or disappointment towards the lads rather than just being full on all the time. But it'll be interesting. We'll see. If the boys do well, I mean, one of my classic lines when I coach now is, if we pull off a set pieces, that was better than my misses last night. That was, just little random stuff like that. And lads will love that. We're university players at the end of the day. So it's all about having a good time, not being too serious as well. So I'll try and throw in a few of them. Yeah, you should see my laptop on my PowerPoint. I've got like 18 slides of just random things I've thought of in the middle of the night. I've got like a whiteboard. I might just draw on that. It's a bit psychotic, really. But when I just think of something, I just write it down, and whether it works or not, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm always thinking about it. I think my role is, how can we get an edge? How can we create momentum? That's my target, as my sort of key performance indicators. How have we got momentum? How have we changed the momentum? And how have we got an edge? If we have that in every aspect of the set piece, there's not many teams that can play against you. You dominate your set piece, you dominate the game. Now, I'm not gonna say to the lads that, we'll dominate every single scrum, every single maul, because it's not going to happen. Sometimes someone slips or calls go against you, or sometimes the team is actually better than you, and that's fine. But it's how do we then have those little nuances, hopefully I can bring to adapt in the moment. I think from a responsibility perspective, you have Rob, who's gonna oversee everything and look at the play, man-to-man sort of management, and make sure everything's go in the right direction. But for me, it's being brutal as possible, is being dominant and desperate. That's the key words I'll be using. Are we desperate to win that extra yard? Are we desperate to score a try? Are we desperate to get the ball in a certain position? How desperate are we to do so? How determined are we to do that? And that's sort of where I come in. I think that's, looking at myself and Higgy, that's where I'll be talking most about. Whereas, Higgy might talk more about attack and flair and how to evade people. But for me, it's just about being brutal, dominating, and being desperate. I mean, everything I've been coaching my career is, the older I get, the more psychology is involved. And if you can make resilient players, you'll make a resilient team. Just finding that connection. as a coach, if someone says to you your role is simply in the training paddock on game day, that's a lie. There's all that background stuff, and obviously, one-to-one with players. I'm closer to the age. I'm only 25, so someone has an issue that they don't want to talk to someone else. You have that responsibility as well. It's not just turn up for an hour on a Wednesday or Monday for training. It's the whole shebang, really. And I think all of us coaches have the same thought process on that. So it'll make the coaching a little breezy. You're not going to have someone slacking on one side, just doing a set piece and buggering off for the next 2 hours. You want to improve every aspect of the game. And I know I'm like, I'll chirp up at any opportunity. Higgy's coach, and I'll probably be like, oh, try this, Higgy. Just because I want to keep doing something, learning. And it's a learning side for me as well. When you do coaching, you obviously look at Instagram, you look at videos on YouTube. So I'll be learning myself. So, it's expressing that and being reflective with the other coaches as well. Well, we've already started that, to be fair. I mean, if you look at the first job from a planning perspective, we've got a tour coming up to Amsterdam, our pre-season, obviously, and how are we going to put our best foot forward? We have the best start to the start of the last season. And I think everyone's goal, you can go into a season and be like, I want to get promoted, but I'm quite process driven. So for me, it's, are we performing? Are we doing what we can do? Are we implementing what we've done in the training paddock to a game situation? So it's all about that planning with all the coaches and deciding how a session is going to run. But from an actual getting stuck in, I think the first step is to hurt the lads, really. See who's a man, who's not. Everyone's quite scared these days to force someone to do fitness or shout at someone. Get over it. This is bloody rugby. We're not playing football. That's probably my Welsh coming out of me, but we're not there to tiptoe around. We're there to get stuck in. Why are we panicking? Oh, I can't tackle today because I've got a game on Saturday. Grow up. You're getting stuck in from the start, and if you don't want to be there, get out. And that's the mentality everyone has to have. So I think the first step is to be a bit of the bad cop, and then transition to good cop. But that's how I want to get coached. So I'm going to coach like that, I think. Yeah, like obviously we're having a bit of a 2 weeks intense pre-season and then going away, which is still pre-season really. An opportunity for lads to play against a good outfit, against an international setup. I think the under-20s are playing, so we'll see what the new players are about, some of the freshers. But pre-season for me, it almost goes through until the beginning of October. All the season started in September, like end of September. You don't know who you're getting. I came to university as a physiotherapist. I was looking to play rugby, but I didn't make any contact. Nobody knew who MMU were, to be honest with you. They were low down in the leagues, but now you go into university at MMU, you're thinking, they got a rugby team there. I want to go there because the rugby team's decent, or they have Bev and Rod coming in to do some coaching. They have these stand-up coaches that are doing stuff. So when I was there, I just turned up as a fresher. Nobody knew me, but I walked into the first team just turning up. So you'll always have those lads that don't know about us yet, but turn up after the Amsterdam trip and might pull the trees out the floor sort of thing. So, for me, pre-season going to last a bit longer, but that Amsterdam trip is probably a bit to butcher the lads, make them hurt more so than normal pre-season. It has to be a step up. If you want to win the league, you have to, start like that. You can't just start at the very bottom. You have to already be at a certain peak to be able to peak again and again and again. And you look at what Rob's done with the coaching staff and the SSC coaches, the physios, the whole shebang. It looks like a professional setup, so they have to understand that. And obviously, out in Amsterdam, I'm sure the lads will have a good time. And I'm sure I'll try and sneak out and join them. But it's a good chance to get to know everyone at that point as well, isn't it?